little thing comes up. It's like,
Ooh,
it's
I hit
like,
record too. I'll post that to Facebook later. Or
nice.
not
Yeah,
Facebook, but YouTube. This is streaming to Facebook.
yeah. It's like, are you okay with this? Like, nice little window, very polite. Yes, I'm okay
Yeah,
with
but
it.
yeah, I'll allow it. I will allow it. How are you, friend?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Chris? You good, man?
Good, good. I think I just won some money on a college basketball game. I'm just trying to log in quick and make sure.
Nice, nice.
They
Yeah,
were up. There
you
was a
can't
five.
escape the ads here, man.
No, man. As soon as the second online betting went legal, that's all that has filled my feeds in every social media thing is the all the new apps I can download.
It for me, it's the New York has the gambling now that way, and Wordle. These are the two things that I cannot escape.
I don't
And
do what the fuck is Wordle? I don't even know what that is.
it's a cult. Clearly, it's a cult where they use colored squares to transfer information and communicate. And I don't know what they're plotting, but I'm scared.
Yeah, I'm starting to get concerned myself as everyone more and more people are posting it that I don't even see post anything to begin with. I'm like, okay, I feel like this might be getting out of hand, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it seems like a cult to me. I don't know. So yeah, so you are winning
Uh,
overall, or
so
what's up?
oh yeah, so well, okay, we'll get into that in a second because I got a lot to say.
Okay.
Because I have a problem I've discovered. But what are you drinking?
Oh
Welcome
yeah,
to
we should
virtual
start with
happy
that.
hour, people.
Yeah, good call. You probably could guess. 'Cause I think you saw it already, but I'm drinking local brew from
Nice,
Artisanal, and it's their barrel aged whole lot of trouble. It's a Belgian style quad aged in whiskey barrels.
nice.
2 years. It's delicious. It's delicious.
So I haven't had any artisanal in a while. I got to get up there and check out the new tap room. I'm overly excited to see it. So one of these weekends, I'm gonna have to take a drive up there. It's got to be like a 45-minute drive, if not an hour now. I think they're even a little further than they were from where I am.
Yeah, I went to their temporary location, which is same parking lot as this one,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I want to say it was like 45-minute drive. Yeah, and I was gonna go over my winter break, but then my daughter got COVID, so I'm like, even though I
Uh,
didn't test positive, I'm like, I shouldn't, risk it and go up there. So,
yeah.
um, same
So
thought.
I picked up while I was at the store today some single cut 18 watt IPA. I like this beer a lot. It's a real solid beer. Single like I haven't had anything from single cut I don't really enjoy. Like they have some really great beers. I don't I need to get some more of them actually. Honestly, I've only had maybe 3 or 4 of their beers, but
Maybe
I've really loved what I've had.
every hoppy beer I've had from them, I really like. They have that. What is the stout? Heavy Boots of Lead, I think is the name, which is a nice stout. I've had that regular and barrel
I
aged.
don't I don't know what it is, man. I can't get into stouts. I've tried
No,
for years and they just don't tickle my fancy, I guess I'll say.
luckily there's all these other delicious
Yeah, I
styles.
know. It's not like there's a shortage of different styles.
Yeah,
Of course, have my nice pint glass here. I got to get you one of these if we ever actually get together in person.
we will at some point meet in real life. Yeah, yeah. Because we're up to a decent number of these kinds of things.
Yeah, I
But
know,
yeah,
man.
there's
Well, so my plan for these virtual happy hours, I thought, is probably do one every other Friday or so.
mhm.
So if anyone out there is watching and wants to hang out and drink and talk nonsense, just shoot me a message. Let me know.
Nice.
It's an easy way to make content. Not I specifically didn't say good content, but just content.
Quantity over quality.
Exactly. I'm going the quantity route. It's like it's
Mhm.
like picking up a 30 rack at the store and instead of a nice sixer or something like that. And I have plenty of pint glasses still left for anybody that would be interested in one.
That's awesome.
But let's talk about gambling because I've discovered I have a problem. Since online betting has gone live these last 2 weeks, there was one night this past week where I had 15 different bets going between 3 apps. But I jokingly say I have a problem. I like the bets I'm making. I'm still running on. Uh, I'm still running on like all the bonus credit they gave me when I signed up for these apps, and I'm up $300. So it's not a problem if you're winning. I,
Exactly.
I have maybe $100 split over a bunch of parlays and a couple straight ups tonight. In fact, I just won on a college game, $28.
Nice.
So I'm doing okay. It's not a problem until I'm losing the house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You have a roof over your head. You're still eating and drinking. Yeah, you're all right.
As long as I can still buy beer, it's not a problem. But
So
I think I found something I enjoy as much as craft beer, and that's gambling.
we all need vices, plural.
Yeah, drinking and gambling, baby. I feel alive.
Now, do all the apps start you off with like credits, or some of them do, some of them don't?
So
Or...
no, there's ideally you want to get some kind of referral link from someone. This way you can. Well, I take that back. Caesars, when I signed up, the Caesars app, which is the worst of the three apps I have, it looks like, in terms of app designability or usability, it was designed by like a kindergartner compared to like FanDuel or DraftKings or something like that. But they gave me $300 in bonus money to sign up, so I'm like, okay. And consequently, that's the one app I haven't won shit on yet. So I'm burning through that 300 bonus dollars. FanDuel, I used a referral link. I got $100, and that's the one I'm up 300 to 400 on.
Really?
Yeah. DraftKings, I think I got $50 when I joined, or it was either that or they just matched my deposit. I'm basically breaking even on that one so far. Overall, I've only spent in the last 2.5 weeks, it's been legal, $40.
That's not bad.
No.
Okay.
I joke that I have a problem, but what I'm doing is I make a lot of like $1 to $5 bets.
Yeah.
Mostly for a little bit for the thrill, just like, hey, I got some money on this. I actually have interest in this. I don't watch the games, honestly. It's like unless it's like football on the weekend. I don't give a shit about basketball. So what I'm doing is I'm taking whatever parlay the so-called expert suggests, and they advertise. I'm like, okay, I'll throw 20 on that, and that's hit more often than not.
Okay. That was my next question: does it make you want to watch more? Like, I don't watch a lot of sports, but when I would do like fantasy football, I did gravitate towards watching more than I was, because I had this like investment in it. But yeah, there's just so much, like you were saying earlier, content. There's just so many games to watch.
There is. Really... So I don't remember when it went live, but this past Saturday or Sunday morning, I'm sitting there on my exercise bike at like 8 or 9 in the morning. I'm just itching for the 1:00 football game to start because I have money on it. I'm like, so I opened the app. I forgot the soccer games start at like 7 in the morning. So I'm betting on soccer games to try to feed the need. Like just $1 here. I'm betting on underdogs because that's like, I'll put $1 to $3 or something on all the underdogs. Because if I hit one, then at the very least I make that money back.
Yeah.
And I mean, soccer for the most part, unless you're a really top tier team, can go either way. I mean, it's kind of like hockey. It's just kind of like ball bounce, puck bounce, something like that. Of which I'm wearing my Rangers jersey. Even though I was going
to say, I see in the background.
Yep. This is, I don't know if have I chatted. I might not have chatted with you since we've moved into the house, or no, I think I have. But this is my man room now.
Okay.
Last I checked, they were losing 2-0, but I'm still wearing the jersey.
I'm from the Binghamton area. That was they had the team there, the Binghamton Rangers, for a while. And those were always fun games to go to.
Hey man, they're top of the league this year. I'm surprised, just as surprised as anybody else, but here's hoping it lasts.
That's awesome. Jeez.
So how's No Hype Beer Reviews been going? Been drinking anything good lately?
Yeah, I mean, the channel's going well. I'm kind of like trying. One of the reasons I was drinking this time, I'm like, man, I gotta get back into some local stuff too. We'll throw that in the mix. So that's kind of, I have a lot of stuff to drink, period. And I'm like, man, I gotta really do a better job of getting some local things. So that's got kind of my one focus right now, my one new, not that I made like a New Year's resolution about, that's kind of like my one newer thing. But yeah, it's going, I mean, it's still fun, meet cool people and all that. So you get to try a lot of cool beer, which is always cool.
Hey, awesome. I guess one of the reasons I started the podcast, man, is I've tried a lot of beers. I wouldn't have gotten myself to these places to, drink and try.
Exactly. I think we talked about it last time, but I still remember listening to yours when you went to that meadery and I'm just like, I got to get out there. Like, it
That
just sounded
dude,
so awesome.
it's very awesome. I recommend waiting until spring when the weather's nice, because they're literally like perched on a hill with nothing around them, and they have beautiful outdoor area that you can just sit with your like mead based mixed drink or straight up mead, overlooking the small mountainous foresty area, and it's
Yeah.
just quiet and beautiful. They have these a fire pit or two, crazy ironwork. I think like their one fire pit legit shaped like a Viking ship or something like that.
That's cool. Okay.
I mean, it's a small place, so
Yeah.
I definitely recommend going when the weather's nice so you can sit outside.
Yeah.
And I just saw, I think they are opening a quote unquote tap room, maybe in Troy or somewhere. They have a
cool.
second location coming.
Okay. Now I see a lot of your movie ones. Are you still doing the beer podcasts? Are you still trying to get up there?
Yeah.
Maybe just
So-
haven't seen those pop up as much.
I haven't actually, to be fair, I haven't done a beer focused one in a while.
Okay. I see the movie ones a lot.
The movie one I do with some friends, Popcorn and Pints, I do with friends each week. And then I got into starting to talk to a couple bands for my podcast. Nice. Because I love music as much as I love beer, and that's always something I wanted to incorporate. Yeah. So I finally kind of got a foot in the door. I talked to a local artist. Hold on, I want to look up his name so I don't get it wrong, because I feel bad if I do.
Yeah, no, I know that move. Yeah. I knew we both wanted to mention or talk about some music stuff tonight, so I know we're on the same.
I got some music stuff coming up. Yeah. It's I want to say I have it on the tip of my tongue, but I also Ryan Clark.
Okay.
I talked to him a long time ago, more of a country type guy. He lives down in Nashville now. And then I didn't do a whole lot music wise since, but I mean, music and beer go hand in hand. Like, you have live music at bars and breweries, every weekend night, or at least, or something like that.
Yeah.
Music was my first love because I wasn't old enough to drink at the time, of course. So you discover music before you discover beer.
Yeah.
That's probably safe to say. And then beer came later. And then I started listening to locally based band called the Unculture. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Pop punk band. They're signed to Equal Vision Records, which I knew Equal Vision Records was Albany based. So they're in our backyard. An awesome label, has a lot of indie pop punk hardcore bands signed to them. A lot of fucking big names have gone through there and even signed on to other labels. In fact, I think they just recently signed Ryan Key from Yellowcard, lead singer of Yellowcard, his solo stuff. But so they were signed to there, and and I learned about them through my actual younger cousin, because she went to school with the three guys.
Oh, cool.
So I actually I knew the name for a long time, and then I started seeing their name pop up on social media because they were coming out with like their first full length debut album. I listened to that and I loved it. So I got in touch with them, did a podcast with them, but I went through Equal Vision or their contact there, and it kind of got my foot in the door. Her name was Kelly. She's been super cool to email with, and she's like, if you want to talk to any of our other bands, let us know.
Very cool.
And then that led to me getting in touch with the band Concrete Castles. They're from Erie, Pennsylvania. Love their album. They're fantastic.
Okay. I mean, I know Equal Vision. I definitely listened to a lot of albums off of them, but yeah, you stumped me twice in a row with these guys.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're into pop, based on conversations we've had, particularly Newfound Glory, check out Young Culture. I think you'd dig their stuff. Concrete Castles too, man. I really like their debut album. It's called Wish I Missed You.
Okay.
They also have they started as like a cover band called First to 11, which they still do. So check out any of their covers. They have some awesome covers. But
I like new music.
Yeah, Concrete Castles is like their original stuff.
Okay. I want to write it down, but I don't want to be that guy on the live stream who's writing it down. So I might hit you back later. Like, who are those bands again?
Speaking of music, I guess pour one out for Meatloaf, the Loaf.
I didn't see that coming.
I don't, that was like out of left field, like out of
Yeah.
nowhere, and also not surprising. I like you forget he's even around until he's
Yeah.
in something or has
Yeah.
put something out.
And was he 75? He was up there.
74.
74. So, you know, it's a pretty long life, you know, which is nice and all that. But yeah, I mean, speaking of like getting into music first, you know, I definitely got into like the Beach Boys. That was like my first band I really liked. And I remember hearing Meatloaf early on in my life, and it was like, this is different in like a good way, you know. And I really liked. It was different than other stuff that was getting played on the radio. And then when I got old enough to watch MTV or whatever, it was just, you know, VH1, whatever was playing his videos. It's just like, man, this is. Cause I had like going back to like the pop punk thing. I was definitely for a while that person who's like, well, you can only like punk music. You know, that was such a lame mindset, you know.
Well,
But
I
before
feel
got
I
into
feel
that,
like once you start getting into punk music, that's the way everyone thinks.
oh yeah, I wasn't like the only one. That's so
Because
true.
I
Yeah,
went through that phase too. I'm like, this is all I can listen to.
yeah, exactly. So like before I got into punk, I liked a variety of things. And I was like totally like, only this and then back into a variety of things. But yeah, I really appreciate it. And like the fact that like it caught on. I mean, that one album of his was, you know, sold crazy
Bat
numbers,
Out
you
of
know,
Hell,
like,
one of the best-selling albums ever made.
yeah. Um, yeah, so that was musically, that was, yeah, definitely a loss because just, yeah, just,
Was, man. Funny enough, we watched on the Popcorn and Pints, we watched Fight Club not that long ago, and he's a main character.
yeah, yeah.
And he was like, he has a ridiculous amount of film credits to his name. Start,
More than I think the average person would
yeah.
think. Yeah.
Like, and you don't even, unless you are actually a fan of his or have like followed his career, you have no idea how many times you've actually seen him
Yeah.
in shit.
Yeah. And not that's a great movie, but perfectly cast as Jack Black's father in the Tenacious D Pick of Destiny movie. Like,
What was he really?
yeah, which is, I mean, if you're gonna cast Jack Black's father in a movie,
Meatloaf?
Meatloaf is a really good
I mean, it's
choice.
a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, he's got the child, you know, he can sing. You can kind of believe he'd be, you know, he could be his dad biologically speaking. Yeah, it's a movie, but he was, I think it was good casting. Yeah.
I know Rocky Horror Picture Show was a big thing attributed to him from the articles I was reading. Honestly, I don't think I've ever sat through and watched that entire thing.
We did at least one time in high school. I remember it was just like, it's like one of those, like we kind of like had that list of movies wherever we got it from that like everyone's supposed to watch that, Clockwork Orange, whatever. So like
Clockwork
like
Orange, I've seen.
and, you know, maybe not every weekend, but there was definitely that, you know, run we had where it's like, yeah, everyone's supposed to watch Jaws. Everyone's supposed, like, whatever it was. And most of them, you know, were worth it for sure. And that one was, yeah.
Just a quick betting update. I did win my college basketball game, so that was $27.
Nice.
What's great about the apps, the FanDuel app, or any of the three, I guess. Well, maybe not so much Caesars. Like I said, Caesars fucking sucks. The only reason I signed up for it was the $300 in bonus cash. They had the best sign up deal. But compared to FanDuel or DraftKings, it blows. It's
Okay.
like it was designed by a child. And you can't follow along with the games, the time, the scores, or anything like that.
Okay.
But you can on FanDuel and DraftKings, and it lets you. It constantly updates the odds, so you can bet on anything the farther it even goes into the game. So I wait till a team.
That's interesting.
It is. So I feel so it's like a safer betting environment if you're going for like the over and under. All right, they're at the half. They've only scored this many points. This team's up by 20. And for some reason, they're still only giving up 5 points. I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Which is what I did. But so that bet's done. So I have like $80 in parlays still to go.
Do you have, is it connected to a bank account or do you like, how
It's
do you
all
get,
it only when I go to deposit or anything. They want you to deposit money.
okay. All right.
Like I put $10 in my FanDuel account, but I got 100 in bonus. And so having spent $10, I'm up almost $400.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I haven't taken anything out yet. Honestly, I don't know what the tax implications are.
That's a good point. You're right. That's worth looking into.
Yeah.
Because it'll be income, right? So I would think it'd be taxable
It was
income.
funny. I was talking to my girlfriend Sarah. I don't, and she asked me about it. I'm like, or I mentioned it. I'm like, I made $130 on a $10 bet the other night. And I just said it like nonchalantly. She's like, why aren't you more excited? I go, one, that's not really not a lot of money. Two, it's not going to be mine for long.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna roll that into other
I
bets,
know.
and who knows how those are gonna go.
It's not like it's directly deposited into my account. I'm gonna use that and lose it probably.
Yeah, exactly. But if you could get like a nice amount, and then that's kind of your play money for a bit and get
Well,
some fun out of it, that's
if
good.
I'm doing a virtual happy hour in 2 weeks, every other Friday, people, is my goal, and I'm wearing gold rings, or I'm talking about having my house paid off, we'll know things went well.
And if it's a cardboard
If
box,
if
we'll
I
go the
look
other
like
way.
I'm sitting in a cardboard box, and the only $100 I spent was on my internet connection.
Because priorities.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm kind of dying to know if the reason you want to talk about the Foo Fighters is the reason I think you want to talk about the Foo Fighters. I don't want to jump ahead,
No, that's where
but
we're going.
you did pique my interest.
Uh, I guess I'll start. Are you a Foo Fighters fan?
I I like them. Like if they're on the radio, I'm not changing the station. I would see them in concert, but I'm not like a huge, fan either. Like I don't know all their words or anything, but I like them when I
Well,
hear them.
I mentioned it because I read Dave Grohl's book in literally 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
I like fucking Page Turner. I don't I
Okay.
like. He's one of the reading that book. I'm like, this is one of the coolest fucking dudes alive.
Yes.
The
Yes.
life he has lived is insane.
Yes. Yes.
His book's just maybe like 375 pages. That's probably not even half of all the cool shit he has to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. He's lived a life.
I like, holy shit, man.
You think being in Nirvana would be the peak of a life, and then to go on and have front your own successful band and all the side projects he's done, dabbling in different genres, being in the Tenacious D movie also. So
Well, so from what he's got a number of crazy stories in there. Like he basically taught himself the drum by banging on pillows and listening to his records when he was a young kid.
that's cool.
Real sloppily, basically. But it sounds like he has some kind of form of actual like synesthesia, or however you pronounce it. I forgot what the actual definition is. It just basically helps. It's a way to understand music better with like colors or shapes or
Okay.
something like that. And he's just musically gifted, man.
Yeah.
He was musically gifted from the beginning.
Yeah.
And he joined as a drummer when he was like 16, this Chicago punk band called Scream that he was a fan of, that was looking for a drummer, toured the world with them. And then when that band was falling apart, that's how he got in contact with Chris, the bassist from Nirvana, who they had already filled when they were looking for a drummer after Nirvana's first album, Bleach. They found the drummer for a band called Mudhoney, but they felt bad taking this guy from Mudhoney because Kurt and Chris both loved Mudhoney. So they called Dave back after he had talked to Chris. They're like, well, why don't you come up here and talk to Kurt? So he came up and he talked to Kurt, and and then he was in the band.
Okay.
He was living on a floor in California. And he's from Virginia. So he goes up to Seattle to join Nirvana. And he's talking about living in this 1-bedroom, overall 2-room shack that's just like attached to this house with Kurt. Well, they're talking about coming up with the music for Nevermind and recording that in a barn.
So, yeah.
It's just fucking insane to hear about that, just knowing how it turned out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
Because if you were there that day, yeah, like you said, the trajectory that they're going to have at that point, no one knew. And you're right, like to look back on it, yeah.
But what the crazy things, a lot of the crazy stuff was what happened. Like after Kurt died, Dave didn't play drums for like a year. He got a phone call from Tom Petty's representative asking if he wanted to play drums for Tom Petty on an SNL performance, because Tom's Heartbreakers drummer had left or something like that, or wasn't available. A day, he was talking about, he thought about it. It was the first time he played drums since Kurt died. And he did it playing for Tom Petty on SNL. They got along great. He was literally offered to be in Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers as the drummer at that point. And that's when he was in a studio recording what would be the very first Foo Fighters songs by himself. So he gave up being in the Heartbreakers to follow through on the Foo Fighters.
Because that first album, he played all the instruments. Right?
Everything. That's
right, yeah.
all him.
Yeah.
Like he brought in people and had to teach them the parts. Like, that's insane.
Like you were saying, just how he took to music and well, genius, whatever word you want to use, but like definitely a prodigy, maybe is the right word. But yeah, just to be in multiple instruments. But even being able to play, like you can play an instrument well and then learn how to play covers and that, but to create the music, create so many popular songs, so many catchy songs, so many songs that have lasted, they're not flash. I mean, the Foo Fighters have been around 20 years? No, more than that, probably, right?
No, longer than that. I forgot what.
Right? It would have been late 90s.
Mid 90s. Mid 90s is when their first album came out.
Okay. So maybe like 25-ish years then?
Yeah.
And consistently crank out. And I mean, now there's other people contributing, certainly, but like
there's it's three of the original members. They're like a 6-piece. So 3 or 4 are original members.
Because Taylor's been with them for a while. I don't know if
he's not the original drummer.
Right.
So what happened, the original drummer was there for the first album. He recorded the initial drums for the second album, Collar and the Shape, which my favorite Foo Fighters song. They've been around for at least 30 years.
Really?
Yeah. My favorite song, Hey Johnny Park, is from Collar and the Shape. But so the original drummer recorded drums for that album. From what I can tell, Dave wasn't satisfied and re-recorded them for that album. And then the original drummer got pissed and quit the band.
Okay. I kind of remember this story.
And at some point he had met Taylor. The book doesn't talk about how he met Taylor. Just, one day he wasn't there. The next day they're best friends and he's in the band.
Right. Okay.
So from that point on, Taylor was there. The original guitarist was there. Pat Smear was there, who left for a long time and then eventually came back. And if I'm not mistaken, the other guitarist was from No Use for a Name, Chris Shiflett.
Because him and his brother played with punk bands for sure.
He talked about the first time he met the other original guitar player, Nate. He had, after Nirvana got big, he bought a house in Seattle that was haunted. He was sure was haunted after living there for a year or two. And so this guy, Nate, came with a friend of his to some Halloween dinner or something he was having. That's the first time he met that guy. Nate is the bass player or guitar player. I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. There's just so much history.
Is it Shiflett? Is that how you pronounce that guy's last name?
Shiflett.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. That's the guy who I believe was in No Use for a Name.
And then his brother was or still is in Face to Face.
I don't know. No Use for a Name, man. They were one of my favorite punk bands by far. Making Friends was one of my favorite punk albums of all time.
Yeah, no, they were awesome. Is he also the one, or is it his brother who's in Me First and then Gimme Gimme's the cover?
That I don't know.
It's him or his brother, or were in it. Either are or were in it. But anyway, yeah. And then what was the band too? The bassist was in was it Guided by Voices or Sunny Day Real Estate, or were in a pretty decent band themselves before. Anyway,
the guy Nate was in Sunny Day Real Estate.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of then. Okay,
one of the original. He left Foo Fighters. He called Dave up and quit Foo Fighters for a day because he said he was going to go back and do Sunny Day Real Estate. And Dave Grohl was like, this is the only point where I thought Foo Fighters was not going to be a band, where he was going to give up on it.
Okay.
And then the guy called Dave back the next day. He's like, I'm sorry, man. I was having a bad day. And then from there, they just fucking got back together and went for it.
Okay.
It paid off. It's like I was reading one story. Dave was talking about having his second or third kid. No, I think like his third daughter. And like Paul, at this point, he's friends with fucking Paul McCartney. He's like Paul's coming over to the house to see the baby, and he's running around hiding, right, telling the story how he's running around trying to hide his Beatles shit. So he doesn't seem like a super fan because Paul McCartney's coming to the house. And he talked about how weird it was that like his kids only know Paul as like a musician friend, as like he's just a good friend of the family that happens to play instruments. Like they don't know.
Yeah,
Like
it's not the Paul McCartney to them. Yeah.
It's like Paul was going to leave and he sat down at their piano to play a song, and his one like 3 or 5-year-old brought out a teacup filled with change as like a tip jar. I'm like,
that's awesome.
It's ridiculous. He's talking about recording a song with Joan Jett, and she was reading bedtime stories to his kid because she wanted him to. I'm like, this is just fucking insane.
I saw when she was I think inducted to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they played together, which was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that on YouTube. That was worth a watch. Yeah.
I don't know, man. If you're into the Foo Fighters at all, read his book. It's awesome. So many great stories.
Book or?
Yeah, it just came out a few months ago at the most. It's called The Storyteller.
Okay. Oh, duh. Yes, I do remember this book coming out. Yeah.
So I just finished that one, I've also been reading The Witcher. I've got 4 books of those to go if you're into The Witcher, but I also have 3 Pianos, Andrew McMahon, his biography here to read.
I saw him when he was in something corporate. Yeah.
I met him in Poughkeepsie.
Really?
When he was doing a Jack's Mannequin show.
Very cool.
I won a contest. I got it in there early, and there was a meet and greet. I don't know where the picture is. I got a picture with him and everything. Nice guy, man. He's someone I've always rooted for.
Yeah. They actually, maybe I talked about this when we were talking about New Found Glory. I saw them open for New Found Glory. Great show. And it was so funny, like watching them push his piano like up the ramp onto the stage. And because I mean, it was like he was going to bring out a keyboard because that was easier. It was still going to be the piano,
No, man, he goes full piano.
Exactly. Yeah. It was so cool. It was a Halloween show. I don't remember what he dressed up as, but the guitarist did something corporate, dressed up like Andrew WK and had the fake blood on his white shirt and everything.
That's awesome.
It was great. Yeah.
I work with funny you mentioned Andrew WK. So I worked with a guy back in maybe it was the early MTV2 days. They had this show where they had artists like go and surprise people with like a house party. Like they'd show up at their house and they would do a house party or something like that. I don't remember what it was called. I had to, and this is on YouTube. Andrew WK was on an episode. This guy, Steve, I work with, Andrew WK showed up at his fucking house with an MTV2 camera, and they had a party in his basement.
Wow. I kind of remember this happening. But yeah.
He's like, he said he had to go out and buy something for his fucking stereo because it wasn't working or something like that. So he could like get everything to work. So I'm like, are you serious?
So was that around here then, or?
I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was far. I don't remember where he said he was living.
That's cool. That's really
like
cool.
The woman he was married to at the time was a big Andrew WK fan or something like that. So I think that's how they picked. She had written in or something like that. I think that's how they picked where these people were going to show up at. And he's like, no joke. And I found the fucking video. It was insane. Like there's video footage of Andrew WK in my coworker's basement, just fucking rocking out.
Yeah. That's so rad. I had a friend who's on Jeopardy. It's about the raddest thing I could think of. That is, something that even close to that. I would pick Andrew WK to party with him. Yeah.
Dude, that's got to be one of the coolest people around to party with.
Yeah. When he played, I went to Buffalo State College and he played there. And my friend, my roommate at the time, got on stage with him. And whatever song they were playing, like they had a lineup of people from the audience, and Andrew WK put his arm around the first 2, and then they kept, the chain going. So he was under one of his armpits. And I remember we're like, oh man, we got to smell your shoulder, man. It's going to smell like Andrew WK's pit sweat. And Yeah, it lived up to it because man, that stunk real bad. He was very sweaty that show.
Oh man.
Going back to the Foo Fighters real quick. Did you see the trailer for their new movie?
I do, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah,
It
what is
looks
it?
fantastic.
Studio 666,
Studio
right?
666.
Yeah.
So, you know what's crazy? So, after reading the book, I've been on obviously a big Foo Fighters kick for the last month as I've been reading that.
Yeah.
Dave produced a music documentary about Sound City, famous recording studio out in California. That came out, I think it was like 2013. It's longer ago than I was surprised to see, but I watched it the other night. And just to see the acts that had gone through there and used this specific soundboard that was specifically customized for this place that they had ordered was insane.
Oh.
Everybody from Fleetwood Mac to Tom Petty, all these big ass names and records and stuff. Studio eventually went out of business as like the music industry progressed into like digital and shit like that. But Dave bought the board from this place and they had their own studio. Like he talks about the recording process, like so their first album, I don't remember where they did it. Their second album, Nirvana, they recorded at Sound City, never mind. So that's how he knew about Sound City. That was recorded there on this specific board. There was only a really small number of them in the world or something like that. Studio was going out of business, so he bought the board and he put it in the Foo Fighters have their own studio, starting with after The Collar and the Shape. They said that was a horrible recording experience. Like they were out in a shack in the woods, basically, with a producer that was driving them into the ground. So after that, he bought a house in Virginia and they built their own studio and stuff like that. So from There's Nothing, their album, which is Dave's favorite, There's Nothing Left to Lose on, they've been recording it at their own studio. And he bought this rig when Sound City was going down.
That's cool.
I forgot where I was going with this.
You watched the documentary, the book, the movie coming out.
How did this start? Oh, the movie. That's right. But they named their studio Studio 606. So Studio 666.
Okay. That's clever. Well, when you were talking about the book and you mentioned the haunted house, I was wondering if that was like an inspiration for this, or just
from what I saw, there was a brief snippet in the trailer when they were talking about the movie. Is a brief cutscene where it said original story idea or story by Dave Grohl or something like that.
Yeah, it does say something like that. You're right.
I'm gonna watch that for sure.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, of course they have a movie coming out, and of course it's a horror movie. You know, like it's just like, it's not like as obvious as like Guar having a horror movie or something come out, or Rob Zombie, who actually has made them. But like, of course,
this is comedy horror movie.
Exactly, and then of course it's gonna being those guys. It's gonna have a big comedy edge. Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Yeah, he's just got a bunch of fucking crazy stories. They all do. What's always boggled my mind, like the song Everlong, probably their most popular song, famous song. And even he says that, not in my top 5 Foo Fighters song.
Really?
No.
That's probably how basic I am. It would be in my top 5 Foo Fighters.
I don't get it. Like, I love it. It's a great song, but not in my top 5.
So you probably, I mean, because again, you know them better than I do. So like my songs are the singles they've released. So you can go deeper cuts. So
so my favorite Foo Fighters song 30 years later is still Hey Johnny Park. That's on their second album with Everlong and Monkey Wrench.
Yeah.
Monkey Wrench is second or third favorite song.
Monkey Wrench, I think, is the first one I remember hearing and kind of being like perking up to, at least. Maybe not the first one I heard, but the first one I was like, but it's pretty fast, and I'm coming off of a only punk phase, and then you hear this other fast song on the radio. So that's probably why it was the first one I'm remembering that I perked up for. Yeah.
I still fucking get pumped up and love Monkey Wrench.
Yeah.
yeah, those are that and Hey Johnny Park are probably my two favorite songs. Best of You, which their album In Your Honor was a double album. And I think after I went back and listened to it, I'm like, this album's really underrated. I feel like it's one of their lesser appreciated albums. But I don't know, man. It's yeah, like I said, I've been on a big Foo Fighters kick.
What was it called just one? They did it.
One by one. They had the album was One by One. Or was that their single?
Did they do it on their own, or was it for the movie that it was Jack Black and Colin Hanks?
Orange County?
Orange County.
The main theme song, for that was The Offspring, wasn't it? I think the main theme song for that was from The Offspring.
Was it?
The Foo Fighters have a song called One by One, but I can't remember if that was the name of the album.
For some reason, I'm associating one with that song, and that with the song I'm thinking of being with that movie. I think they had a music video that featured clips from the movie, maybe.
Yeah, the Foo Fighters haven't the album One by One. I think that was probably their worst, honestly.
Okay.
But in saying that, what's crazy, All My Life, that was the single I was thinking of. Was when I say One by One was probably their worst album, one of their biggest hits, Times Like These, was on that album.
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah, the song's just called The One from Orange County. I just looked it up.
I don't remember. Okay, I don't remember that. But I remember the Offspring being the big song from that movie.
Were they? It's been. I mean, I haven't seen a movie. How long were they in the movie too, or no?
They were in Idle Hands. I don't think they were in that.
Was that them in that movie? Okay. It's like Blink-182 is in one of the American Pie movies. Like there was like the random like punk band in movies phase as well. And yeah, I'm getting some of them confused perhaps. Yeah.
But what is going on here? I'm trying to. My phone died. I don't know what's going on. It's not doing shit now. There we go.
Oh, nice. Maybe you used all the battery with your apps. I don't know.
It's plugged in.
That's okay.
Yeah, I know. I keep it plugged in. I can't see comments. That's the thing.
Oh.
What's going on here? Josh Casano, Natty Ice, 30 racks. No, Josh, I'm drinking some single cut 18 watt IPA. Natty Ice, I don't know the last time I've had Natty Ice.
College, maybe for me. I don't know. It's been a while.
At the earliest.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I don't know, man.
I guess people enjoy it.
No,
it's been a while for me.
Hey, man. What else is going on? I've been mentioning I've actually, you know what album I've been hooked on is I sent you this message earlier. Canadian pop punk band Bearings, their album Hello, It's You. Really gotten into that album. That's really good.
I feel like it's nice because like there's this uptick in that genre right now. It feels like there's like new bands, and it feels very much like that late 1990s, early 2000s vibe. There are definitely some bands putting their own spin on it, which I appreciate also. But like it is, I don't know if Renaissance is too strong of a word, but there definitely seems to be an uptick with some really cool like pop punk bands right now.
It's funny you mentioned that, and one of the reasons I think I've been enjoying that album as I've listened to it, I've noted like it reminds me, it has that pop punk vibe, but there's a couple songs on here I'm like, this is like a newer, unique sounding version of this, and I'm really digging it.
Yeah,
and I think that's what hooked me in.
There's this idea, right? Like you hit a certain age and you just kind of like stop listening to new music, and I definitely still listen mostly to stuff I've always listened to. And the new stuff, interestingly enough, I kind of, like you're saying, like it when it's a little bit different. It's kind of like the beer thing too. Like I like a lot of styles, but sometimes I'm really drawn to one that it's giving me the things I want, but then there's at least one thing different about it. So it's kind of that uniqueness drawing me in. Yeah, I'm kind of, and I'm getting a lot of recommendations lately, which I also like. I feel like I went for a while where I had no recommendations to give anyone, and I certainly wasn't getting any because I think there was a stagnation with new and good. Like besides the Wonder Years, there wasn't there was like a really long time. I want to say like a decade where I wasn't really even thinking about newer bands in that genre at all. And then all of a sudden, there's like one every 2 weeks, maybe someone's recommending me. Yeah.
Well, I was I've mentioned this before. When I was getting ready to talk to the lead singer of Young Culture, who I had on the podcast, who and learned, of course, that they were signed to Equal Vision Records. I started going down the Equal Vision Records rabbit hole
Yeah.
and just fucking looking up everybody that they had signed. That's how I found out about Concrete Castles. I started following more of those bands and seeing who they were going on tour with. That's how I found out about this band called Barons. I'm like, I'll check them out. Luckily I had at least, albeit crappy internet connection at my desk at work. I have Spotify open, so I'm like, I got time. I just put my headphones on while I'm trying to do something. I'm like, okay.
That I love that because it reminds me of like the early internet days where it was very much like, here's record labels compilation CD. Like you get like a little tease of the bands we have on. I know Drive Through had several, Hopeless Records. I'm just Epitaph.
It
And like,
was,
okay, so like here's a new one. So I love that like you're like, I know this label now. Let me go through it because it's like a throwback to what we had to do 20
I don't,
plus years ago.
so it was a compilation record that my brother had. If I could ever find this again, I would buy a copy in a second just for memory purposes. But that's the way I found out and what got me into No Use for a Name and Lagwagon, and at least like two other bands that were on there. That's how I found out about them.
I wonder if it was it Fat Records then?
I don't know if it was a Fat Records
Okay.
album or not.
Because with those guys, I mean, it could be like a Warped Tour one. It could just be like Fat, or it could be even
I don't.
Epitaph. I don't know if they ever said
It was
Epitaph.
like I said. I mentioned earlier, Making Friends. The No Use for a Name album is I think one of the best all time punk albums ever made. But it was around that time frame. It was either right before that was going to come out, or just at the same time.
Yeah.
Or it had to be right before that was going to come out at the earliest, because the song that was on there was on that album.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think the one before that was Lake, something about milk, the Spanish milk name that I can't think of. Leche con carne, milk and meat, or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah. Man, this is what a throwback. Yeah. Yeah, those compilation between for at least me and my buddies, it was the compilations or a band we liked looking at the thank you list and being like, all right, so like MXPX and Blink-182 both thanked Homegrown, so now I gotta like buy a Homegrown album instead of like this band. Like it was just, it's such a trip to think about now. Like you mentioned Spotify, I can't think of a lot of the bands that people have recommended me because I just put it into Spotify and listen to some songs that come up or whatever. So it's such a, I'm like transitioning somewhat from like I always used to like, yeah, buy the CD, listen to the CD holistically, know that all the tracks on it. Now it's just like, yeah, whatever Spotify picks when I type in Turnstile, and then they play their songs, or then they start spinning off in other people's songs that they think you'll like too. Just a completely different experience. So yeah, I love this like throwback to how I used to listen to music. Yeah, and discover new music.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy. It's trying to think. I've been actually, a song I've really loved that's come out recently, new Rise Against song.
I don't
Uh
think I've heard a new Rise Against song in a little while.
Talking to Ourselves. So they released an album not long ago called Nowhere Generation. And
Yep.
I have just fucking, I haven't, like, there hasn't been a Rise Against song that's caught my attention in a few years at least. But the two singles from this album are fucking awesome. Like legit old school, got me back into Rise Against
Yeah.
songs. Talking to Ourselves is the newer one, I believe. I think.
Okay.
And I love it. It's awesome.
I'll check it out. Yeah. They they had that run. I can't even think of the names of the albums, but whatever the one that had "Swing Life Away,"
Oh,
something
that was a
"Sirens
great
of the
song.
Counterculture,"
So
maybe.
that was a good one. It was either that or Prayer of the Refugee.
And then that I think was the album after,
Okay, yeah, no, Swing Life Away
right?
was the one before that, I think. That was early,
Right.
early Rise Against.
Those two for me were the best I had heard.
They
But
they
then there
haven't,
were,
yeah, they have not topped Prayer or Prayer
that
of the
was so good.
Refugee or
Yeah.
that
Uh,
album.
and again, listening to the whole album, top to, start to finish, top to bottom.
I listened to, like, I heard these two songs and I only recently listened to the album. Like, I'm not, it's good. I'm not as
Yeah.
into it as those early albums, but these two fucking songs, man, like these
Yeah.
take me right back to those albums.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Like, and I'm not saying they've released the same album over and over again, or whatever, but like
They have a sound though.
they have a sound. You had mentioned like Pennywise, they have a
Yeah.
sound. It's so distinct and you want them to be them, but they have a sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it. So for them to kind of hook your attention again is pretty darn rad. Yeah. Yeah. Those guys, yeah, I was in as a vocalist, what's his name? Tim McGarth. Forget what, anyway, such a
Yeah.
great singer. So I
He's
mean,
also
just
like, I love his voice. It's different than a
yeah.
lot of the stuff you hear, which I enjoy.
He can do the acoustic singing. I mean, singing along to acoustic. He can,
Yeah.
belt it out with the best of them. He can have that like more hardcore, yelling sound. He can do all of them flawlessly. Same song.
What's
Hold your
you
attention.
know what's crazy? I was listening to Chris DeMake's podcast from the
Mhm.
guy from Less Than Jake, their singer and guitar player, and Tim was on there, and they were talking about the song. Like, Chris DeMakes picks a song that a band does, and they kind of go in depth on the song. So
Oh,
they
that's a
were
cool
talking.
premise.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Um, and he was talking to Tim about Savior, basically Rise Against's biggest fucking
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah.
Like, it
Great
has
song.
millions and millions of views and listens on YouTube, Spotify, anything like that. Tim's like, yeah, we were gonna, that song barely made the fucking album. Like, they didn't like it, they were gonna cut it, and they weren't sure about it, and then someone in the studio was just loved the song and be like, no,
Yeah.
you can't cut that.
Yeah.
So they left it on, and
And then
that's the song that hit.
yeah. What a trip. Yeah. So there's a lot of stories like that though. Yeah, like the song, the last song written for the album was a hit or whatever. The one that was going to get cut was the hit, or yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Those guys,
those stories always boggle my mind.
because it seems like the stuff of legend. Like that can't be the case. Like they must have known it was gonna be the hit or whatever. And you do hear those stories.
My buddy Aaron, who was on Popcorn and Pints, just chimed in and said he has nipples. So I just said, yes, Aaron.
Nice, nice, yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's
all
pretty.
do, because
It's
when you're in the womb, we all start out as females.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
common.
everyone has nipples.
That's
It's true.
It's pretty common. Thanks,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah. I read a book, Why Do Men Have Nipples? And that's how I learned that. Yeah.
I honestly didn't know that.
So shout out to reading. Yeah. Why do men have nipples?
Hey, buddy.
Oh my God. What
Oh.
a turn that was.
Yeah, I would expect nothing less.
I love it. I love it.
What else you got going on these days?
Man, just sick of the cold, ready for some nicer weather. And like you were saying about like going places, sitting outside, like we go whatever, every once in a while we try to get out of the house. But yeah, just definitely looking forward to more getting out, doing things. I feel like I'm tired a lot, and like, so
I'm
part of me
tired.
wants to just do nothing, and then the other part of me is like, but I think if I like go out and do stuff, that will reinvigorate me, so it's kind of like where I'm at to right now is like, no, like you got to persevere and like just get out and do stuff, and that's going to maybe hopefully get you out of this like middle of winter, just the kind of a thing.
This is my first winter in the house, and I've realized my driveway just refuses to not ice over no matter what
Wow.
salt I put down. Like so it's a battle between me and the ice.
Yeah, I put out, my wife was shocked. I'm like, no, no, no. Because she's like, no, there's still some ice spots. I'm like, I put out 125 pounds of salt. I'll have to go get more. I figured 100 and I'm like, I was gonna get 100 pounds, and I'm like, no, just to be safe, I'll get the extra 25.
That sounds insane.
It was insane. But like we're on a corner, so I like corner sidewalk, so a little bit more sidewalk, and then the driveway as well. I'm like, yeah, like I'll buy more, but I figured 125
Dude,
pounds would be enough salt.
you talk about being on the corner. You know what's ridiculous? I am 5 or 6 houses down the street. That's how far down the street I am. And the span of less than a week, back not long after we moved in June, August. So this was probably September-ish. Maybe even August. National Grid blocked off from the start of our street literally to where the street is, like the end of our house. They blocked it off at one point during the day. And the only spot they had to dig a fucking hole was at the very start of the street, and then in my fucking front yard.
Oh, really?
Right at the edge of my fucking front yard. Like, are you assholes?
Sucks.
Those are the only 2 spots they had to dig a hole. So I had to, once they were done, I had to, of course, put seed down and shit because they didn't do it. Within a week, there was some rain. Somebody somehow slid and hit my mailbox and drove into my yard. Like there were tire tracks. It cost them their side view mirror, which makes me happy.
Good.
I didn't. Luckily, in my mailbox, the whole thing's made out of like this industrial fucking strength plastic or something like that, Rubbermaid shit. So it was still standing. If it was wood, it would have been destroyed. If it was a wooden post, would have been gone. Yeah. But if you look down the street right now and tried to line up the mailboxes, they'd all be straight, but you would see mine like this. Like nice. Literally within a week after National Grid was done and filled that hole, and I put down C, somebody hits. I'm like, what the hell? That's like I'm not even in a bad part of the street.
Yeah, that just sucks.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Home ownership. We weren't long in this house and our basement flooded. I'm like, really? Like that's
I awesome. Think 2 weeks in, I had a wax seal go on a toilet, and because I know nothing about plumbing, I mean I called somebody, to fix it, which was obviously I paid more than I should have. Yeah. But I'm like, well, 2 things I don't want to deal with are water and electricity. Yeah. If there's an issue.
Yeah. I definitely electricity, just because my dad showed me some stuff with plumbing, but not much. But yeah, electricity, I don't want to mess with it at all. Yeah. I changed out our outlets here when we moved in, so they're all white. Other than that, there's probably not a single electric thing I want to touch. Yeah. And even that was like, I don't want to electrocute myself. So careful, right? It's definitely hit the switch. It's off, right? Everything up, breakers off.
Yeah. I don't know. But what time is it? We're getting close to the end of happy hour here. Yeah. Another hour or two, I should know the results of my other gambling parlays.
I hope it goes your way, obviously.
Oh, I certainly do as well. If I win everything I put money on tonight, I have no problem throwing down $100 on a parlay tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey man,
roll it in.
I got a problem. Like I said, I think I talked about that clearly at the beginning of the broadcast.
Yeah. But like you said, if you're winning, I don't know how big of a problem
it's only a problem if you're losing.
Exactly. So today it's not a problem, but maybe tomorrow will become a problem. We'll see.
It's true. That's the crazy thing about it is it's a day by day thing.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. Like I don't like the only thing I've ever enjoyed about sports betting, I thought, as opposed to betting in a casino, is that I have the betting on sports gives me the illusion of the feeling of hope because I don't lose the money as quickly.
Yeah.
I go to a casino, like I stopped at Turn and Stone once. I lost $30 in 2 minutes or something like that. I'm like, I'm done. That's it. It's
Yeah.
gone quick.
Yeah.
I bet on a football game. I have the illusion of hope for like 3 hours before I lose
Yeah.
my money.
That's true. Versus a quick hand of blackjack, or whatever.
So I'm paying to feel hope. That's what it is.
That's powerful, I think is the right word. Yeah.
If I think of it like I'm paying to feel anticipation and hope.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes it sound really nice.
It will ultimately end in disappointment. Yes.
With all the ads they have for these apps, I feel like that could be one of their ads. I'm paying for hope.
Give us your money to feel hope.
Yeah. It's the new slogan, the new tagline. No, but Chris, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. I love chatting with you, and this was fun.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We will do this again. I think that's going to wrap up happy hour, people. So for anyone that has watched or will watch, thank you. You can, of course, check out the podcast Stories from a Bar on any and all major podcast platforms. Be sure to follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Check out No Hype Beer Reviews, where Kyle himself will tell you all you want to know about a ridiculous amount of beers. I don't even have a ridiculous amount of videos posted.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's just insane beer talk. So until next time, people, I'll see you in 2 weeks or so. Drink something.
I like that. Drink something.
All right. Live stream's over.
No, really, seriously, appreciate you having me. I do have to get going though, but
yep.
But no,